wait for some people to get in here, just so I'm not talking to myself, because I do that enough. Grab something real quick. Oh, that's good. Signals in the yellow. Hopefully that'll change. Check something real quick so I have all my information. Can I press the universal remote to skip to two? Is Tuesday any different? I mean, I would skip to at least Thursday. Nice to see you, Rita. How are you? Just give me one quick second. I thought I had a point of reference for that. I guess I didn't. What'd you do over the weekend, Rita? Okay, I guess he left. It's peculiar. I definitely don't want to do a rant without anybody in here, so. Okay, so I'm in the green. That's good. That's interesting. I'm curious why it doesn't show when it shows the number of viewers watching, it says 0. So I didn't think you were still in here. That's very strange. I've never seen that happen. That's weird. Because when I came in here, I backed out for a moment to reply. Oh, that's probably why. Well, even now, it still shows 0 people watching. That's really strange. Huh. Um, is my feed smooth on your end, or is it delayed or choppy? Because my signal keeps going from green to yellow, so I don't know what the transmission's like. Damn. See, I don't usually have that problem. And I don't want to go out and come back in because it might get rid of the actual event that I created through Restream. Oh, technology, thou art a heartless bitch. Um, anyway, we'll see what we can do. I'll go in and fix things later if I need to. So I'm trying to figure out. I don't remember when it came out. It came out recently. Linkin Park released an unreleased track from their days of when Meteora, their second album, came out. And um, obviously everybody is reacting to it, posting videos and whatnot. And there's a lot of emotion happening, which is, to be expected when it comes to Linkin Park. But it got me thinking, because of how picture quality drops several frames, having clear audio is better. Yeah, you're right. But anyway, there's a lot of emotion in these videos, which is to be expected. And a lot of people that are reacting to the music video and the song are being very vulnerable and expressing a lot of the feelings that they're having uh, about this new song, or rather old new song, I suppose. um, Mike Shinoda did an interview shortly after the song was released, and one of the interviews he did, they asked him the why the song Lost was never on Meteora, and he said that it sounded too similar to one of their bigger hits off the album, Numb. and I can see where it would sound like that. So you definitely don't want too many songs that sound too similar because it just there's no variety on the album that way. But as I've become more aware of how people deal with mental health in the age of social media and online content creation, I've noticed something, at least in the last year, I suppose, called trauma dumping. And I never knew there was a word for it. I don't know if it was something that Gen Z came up with or the younger millennials, but it's definitely something, and it's definitely not something that the older millennials like myself came up with because we didn't we had our own like catchphrases and buzzwords, I suppose, before the age of the internet, but some of them now are just very weird. Like they just it seems like they come out of nowhere. But that aside, I started becoming aware of what trauma dumping was probably within the last year, and it seems to go hand in hand with, for some odd reason, now content creators putting in their public bios that they are mental health advocates or a safe space for, insert whatever, you know, presumed marginalized group that's out there, which I hate the marginalized group shit. I don't think it's true at all. That's just my opinion, though. Especially as somebody who is in a wheelchair and at anybody else's convenience can be considered part of a marginalized group. That's why I don't believe in the whole concept of it. But the thing that I've become aware of with these content creators is, like I said, the fact that they're putting mental health advocate and um, safe space in their public bios for like TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, what have you, anywhere where it is where there can be social interaction. And it's always pissed me off because it's obviously people that are going through mental health, and I just it bothers me in the sense that these people don't know what connotations those statements have. And so I will more often than not, I will automatically just avoid any content creator who projects themselves as a mental health advocate, because obviously they're just some schmuck on the internet like I am with no proper training. And because when you align yourself with the mental health medical aspect of the world, or of the world, people are going to automatically come to you if they have a mental health issue or they're, going through something, and they're going to want to talk to you. And if you're not properly trained, you could give them bad advice. It's one thing to be just an ear to listen, but when you say you're a mental health advocate, you are placing a lot of responsibility on yourself to these people who are seeking somebody to reach out to. And the problem that I've seen, at least in the last, what, 2, 3 months, I've seen it several times where I'll go into like a Twitch stream, and for whatever reason, they'll have mental health advocate in their bio. And in live chat, people will start talking about, things that are happening in their personal lives. And I saw somebody the other day, because a person came in who had never been in this one chat and just started vomiting all of this information about themselves. And somebody in the chat said something to the effect of, how about we not trauma dump and, bring the energy down? And I almost kind of called them out, but I was like, wait a second, they actually make sense, because it was a very high energy room. They were having a good time, having great conversations. And then this person comes in, and the streamer at the time asked them, thank you for coming in. How are you? What's going on? And that's when they started just kind of what they call trauma dumping. And I don't know that the streamer themselves had an issue with it, but I think that their chat was right to call it out. And I don't know after that if the streamer called attention to it. I don't remember. But I've also seen other streamers, like not people in their chat, but the actual streamer, complain about people coming in and just completely like I said, trauma dumping. And it's like, if you make it a point to put mental health advocate or this is a safe space in your bio, you take on the responsibility of making those statements, because it's not just putting something in your bio, it's you making a statement. And I'm curious what you guys think about streamers who do that, who obviously are not properly trained to deal with that kind of stuff, and then turning around and just bitching about it. Because it's like, I don't think that it should be allowed for anybody who is not scholastically or medically trained to deal with that stuff to be able to put that in there. It's fine to have an ear of somebody to listen to, but there was a video that I saw several weeks ago when I was looking up uh, things about parasocial relationships, and the person who put the video up said, "I'm sorry to be, this way, but content creators are not your friends, and there needs to be a wall, kind of a wall between you and like you as a content creator and your viewers. And even when you step back from the role of content creator and are the viewer, you need to understand that you cannot then turn around and try to dump on other people." And I'm curious, I know we'll read out your in here. Uh, I'm curious what you think as far as what you've seen in any live chat or comment section that you've been in. um, I don't even know. I don't even know if I can say that I've seen it in a lot of live streamers. What I notice it mostly in is people's bio on TikTok. So many people that I see on TikTok, and it's all of these little piss ants that are less than 25, and they think they're going through something, and a lot of their content will be them bitching and complaining. Um, but they are the ones mostly that I see, and that it's TikTok and Instagram primarily, where I'll see it in their bio that it says, mental health advocate. It just, I think it needs to be called out more often. Um, Friday Night Tights, I tune into that quite often. Yeah, I love those guys over there. Um, I avoid TikTok like the plague. I think we all need to. Um, there has been, talk of it being banned in the US. And if I'm being honest, I don't disagree. I think that because of what TikTok is and what it's capable of, um, whether on a social or governmental level, I think that it does need to be eradicated and completely just taken down. Um, but in your personal life, as you've grown up, when you've had one-on-one interactions with people, have you ever encountered people who are just going through something, and you know well, we want them to open up and make sure that they're not suffering with, whatever's going on in their head. Have you ever met those kind of people that just are constantly trauma dumping? Like, every time you talk to them, there's something going on, and they're just constantly discussing negative things that are going on. Because that was one of the reasons why I stopped very early on going to bars after I turned 21, because there were too many people in my, you know, area at the time where I grew up that were these kind of people. They were trauma dumpers. And, you go out to the bar to have a good time and be around good people, be around good energy. And you've got people just bitching and moaning about everything. It's like we're out here to, push all that away and forget about it and kind of make memories that will overshadow the negative that is going on in our, regular lives. But yeah, that's what stopped me from really going out and interacting uh, on weekends and, all that kind of stuff. Getting a ton of alerts on my computer as I'm trying to do all this, trying to keep them quiet. Will profess and criticize myself. I may be the most whiny of my friend group, um, mainly with politics. I think, unfortunately, in the last 7, 8 years, I think a lot of conversations consist of or are of a political nature, and it's hard to avoid it. Unfortunately, I've been trying to improve and be on politics after that. Yeah, hence why I stopped following most political commentators and started following Iron Age. Um, yeah, I've noticed myself in the last month or two, kind of dialing back the number of political commentators that I follow. Now, I would rather rely on them to get my political and social news because obviously the mainstream media doesn't have the public's best interest at heart. Um, but when you start to see the infighting between political commentators, that's where it really kind of muddies the water. Not exactly the topic of trauma dumping, but that's yeah. No, it's kind of it relates to it, but it's like all of the stuff that's been, I'm not going to mention her name because I don't want the YouTube algorithm to fuck with my stream. But it's like the situation that we've seen with um the Tim Pool article about a certain very short-haired psychopath. I'll say that. When Tim refused to address it, that created a whole other layer of drama that was unnecessary. Uh, and unfortunately, it resulted in content creators fighting and decide like deciding to record videos fighting with each other. And I would go so far as to say that they were trauma dumping on us because they didn't know how to handle the heat that they were getting because of the situation that they were drawn into. So they were trauma dumping on us. It might be a bit of a stretch, but it's one thing to announce you have a problem, but it's another thing if you hammer it into everybody's heads, state the problem, then work to solve it. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Um, it's the because people became too comfortable with oversharing, which is what they called it like 10, 15 years ago. People became too comfortable oversharing online. And I think that because we've started talking more openly about mental health, I think unfortunately this was just the natural progression of it all, where you start oversharing and then you get comfortable doing that, and it opens the door for too much negativity online. Whereas when we were teenagers and we were using the internet to escape the shit that we were dealing with in real life. And we didn't want to talk about the things that were going on in real life. Sometimes they did, but it wasn't as frequent as we're seeing today. You'd go into, different corners of the internet where you could talk to people about your interests and the things that made you happy instead of continuously destroying your brain by, talking about the trauma that you're going through. Because I think that when you distract your brain by talking about the things that make you happy or give you joy, I think you're able to subconsciously work through that trauma that you're dealing with because it's not actively taking control of your thought process. It's in the back of your mind, so you're able to sub um, unconsciously or subconsciously kind of kind of pick through it and see how to manage it. Um, I've mentioned in an earlier stream, we live in a society champions victimhood, yeah, and that's a lot of um, yeah, the trauma dumping. I think is a result of that, and I think going back to why I originally chose to talk about this, though, I think what makes me angry the most is not the people that go into trauma dump or are trying to figure out shit in their head. It's these people who invite that kind of energy into their spaces and then get mad as soon as that kind of energy enters their space. It's like you welcomed it by saying you're a mental health advocate or, this is a safe space. When you do that, you don't know what individual people coming into your space are dealing with. And so what you're essentially doing is whatever you're dealing with, you're now piling that on, or you're now allowing them to pile on to you because it's stuff that you're not going to be able to walk away from even when you turn the computer back off. So I don't know if there's an easy resolution to all this, but these content creators need to understand that it's essentially like what is it called? Something I heard about several years ago called an energy vampire. It's somebody who comes into your environment, and they have this innate ability to smell that you are somebody that they can be comfortable talking to, and they will just suck the energy out of you by trauma dumping on you. And I've had a lot of those friends, and I'm glad I do not have those friends anymore, because even though I wish them well and wish them to be better, I honestly want no part of it because they are, like you said, perpetual victims. Um, and I don't think that the people that are going through trauma most of the time and the content creators who invite that kind of energy into their spaces, I don't think they fully understand the ramifications of their actions or their words. And it just, I think there needs to be rules on social media that prevent that from happening. Because in my opinion, if you are presenting yourself as a mental health advocate, you are misrepresenting yourself, and you are essentially what's the word I'm looking for? You're misrepresenting yourself, and you are falsely imitating, it's the only word I can think of right now, an actual mental health professional. Like that is what people interpret when they see mental health advocate. That's immediately what goes to their mind. Yeah, and that's the problem. And you hit it right on the head. They do it because it's trendy. And that's the problem with with the way that mental health is looked at in today's society, is that it's trendy to have mental health struggles, and it kind of it shines a light on the bullshit and it darkens the area where the people are that actually have the mental health issues. It's all about checking off the boxes. I support the current thing. Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. Um, over the last 3 years, uh, I would say each month I see at the beginning of the month, I'll see like friends of mine or people online be sarcastic and say, I support the current thing this month. And they're like, I want to get ahead of it and say I support the current thing this month. Basically having that self-awareness of there's gonna be some stupid shit that they're gonna try and force me to support. I don't want to support it, so I'll just put this here so they leave me the fuck alone. That's pretty much what it is. But yeah, I support the current thing. That I believe that's on several merch items that I've seen in various areas of the internet. I got to get one of those just because it's just so absurd. But I I guess people could come into this live stream and they could interpret my the way in which I'm expressing what's on my mind. I'm guessing they could probably interpret that as trauma dumping, but at least in my case, I'm on my own platform. I'm not going on somebody else's platform and just word vomiting all over them. Yeah, with great power comes great responsibility. Damn it, read out. Now you're gonna try and now you're gonna make me think about who said that. I completely don't remember. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Um, but yeah, and I'd honestly say that the majority of today's youth don't know what responsibility is. And I say youth as in probably, I don't want to say all, but a vast majority of under 25 or even under 30, I'll say, um, don't know what responsibility is. So they want the power, but they don't understand, nor would they probably want the responsibility. So I don't know. I just I don't know if it makes me understand people less when stuff like this when I see stuff like this, or if it just further disconnects me from people and makes me jaded toward other people. Because I do this kind of stuff to try and understand other people, but I think the more I understand about other people, the more it just pisses me off that people are so willing to act in such a manner that is it doesn't help anybody and it doesn't help us. I am beginning to hate the stream today. Can you hear me? I don't know what's going on with Restream. Well, I don't know how much of this is going to actually transfer onto the VOD after I stop. Read out, just let me know if you can hear me again. I think with all of the technical issues that seem to be happening, I might just end it here. I was going to try and go a little longer, but I don't want to. Damn, I don't know what the hell's going on. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end it here. I'll figure out if I have any connection issues. Hopefully, all of what I've said will transfer onto the VOD so that people can rewatch this. But I appreciate you sticking around, and I've got my streams set up for, I believe, the next 2 days, next 3 days maybe. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow.